why I wanted to do this topic. I was working for quite a lot of companies and they're struggling with the same problem again and again. They have the same issues, and it's about dependencies. And it was just for me why I see the same problems over and over again. And even companies who are using DDD were struggling with that. I was using DDD in quite a lot of companies and it somehow did not work. And then I started to investigate a little bit, so there were plenty of nights I could not sleep just because of that topic, and that's true. And yeah, so at the specific point, I was investigating not about the solution, I was more investigating what is the real problem. And because of that, I think I found the problem, and I will give you an example about that. So in the next couple of minutes, you will see how to create a spaghetti monster. And it will be pretty nice, I hope so. And after that, I will show you also my approach how to deal with that and how to get rid of the spaghetti monster you created. But not only you, your colleagues and all the people before that and so on, right? So let's start with the example. Like always, we have a startup. So you can see it's the best app in the world, we are the best employees and so on. And what we want to do is we want to have a platform where people can create videos. Fancy videos, of course, not the crap others are doing, right? What we are doing is always great and better. And quite important is that others can buy these videos, download them, of course, and we can generate invoices automatically to the users who bought the videos and of course to the creators too. Questions about that so far? Or pretty cool company, right? But don't use it now, we will first have the solution here. Then you can perhaps start this company on your own. So, and of course, we will use the newest technologies, microservices, events, queues, DDD, and lambdas, and we'll go cloud only and whatever, right? So we will fulfill the wet dreams of all engineers. Okay, so let's start with that. So we gather together, and the first thing is, okay, let's discuss the environment. How should it look like, right? How should we split that? And after some event stormings perhaps, or after some discussions, we come with this solution. So of course we have a core domain, right? This is the video. The videos are the most important thing here, right? Can I move it? Wait a minute. Yeah, here. So the videos are the most important thing. And then we have some subdomains for order and for invoice. And as we have video, we will have a video service. And we have, of course, an invoice service, as we have an invoice domain. And we have an order domain, so we have an order service. Right? And because we are user, everyone needs users, there will be also a user service somehow, somewhere. Who likes this idea? Please show me your hand. Okay, one. Another one. It's pretty cool, right? It's still okay. Quite a lot of people saw this. So let's go with the next step. So we implement that. We're starting creating a security layer, so we have a gateway now. And what we are doing, of course, we want to have RESTful services. So we can create, read, and delete users from every service. It's just an API approach, so pretty simple. And if a request comes in, we can get from the gateway the user. Then we're creating a JVT token with the user info in it. And we can use this JVT token with all the information from the users in all the domains. So we can, of course, call the service. Wait a minute, I need to use this one. So we can use this service, video service here, right? So it can use all the data from the JVT token. Right? So it's still something everyone knows. So who likes this implementation? Give me a hand. One, another one, cool. So far a good architecture. Let's go to the next one. So let's modify. And as it's always, we need to evolve, right? So software is never the same. It needs to be changed every time. So when we build software, we need to think about changes, right? So let's start changing. At some point, someone from product comes to us and say, hey, we need anonymous users. Right? So it's a user without an email, because the user service has an email as a unique identifier. It's pretty normal. Everyone needs to be identified by an email, so we know that we have always one user. Perhaps if he has many of them, he can have different accounts, but in this case, we want to have people who can create the videos first. They have just limited access. They cannot share it on our platform. They cannot sell them, but they can create them. And then we can give them the possibility to, hey, now you created video, now you can sell it, now you can purchase $200 per month package, right? So do we need a role, for example? Let's see how we can implement that. Let's go with the next one. The video domain, so it's our codomain, the people from there are coming to us and telling, hey, each user has a configuration. Everyone has his own filters they can use. Everyone in this company, every video creator has a nice background. They have some specific tools they can align on the right, on the left, and so on. So, and we don't need that only in one service, because we have now already 3 microservices. And we don't want to share this information and create in each service the same configuration. It would be great. Can we just put it into the JWT token? Of course. Why not? Right? Another modification, not modification, but we are a supportive domain. Right? It's a user service. So we have this core domain. Core domain tells us what to do. So they are so important. They are doing the value stuff, right? So they are creating the impact, and we as a user service with 2 engineers perhaps, one of them is a senior, the other one is a junior. Yeah, they're just doing that stuff, right? And if not, then the CTO is coming and telling them, hey, you need to, because this is important. So let's see how we will implement that. So first of all, this is the implementation we had before. Can you read the stuff? Or is it too small? It's okay? Cool. Okay, so first of all, we will also, we will, at some time, right, there will be also more fields. So the more domains asking for, hey, I need this specific field, right? It's user. So it should be in the user domain. So put it into the user service, right? Then it starts, I don't know if you know that, it starts making, you need more and more time to add new fields. You need more and more time to add new logic. And there's some logic, for example, about the role, right? You cannot delete a role, because then you need to empty some specific fields, because the configuration is only tied to this specific role. If you delete the configuration, then the role needs to be deleted. So you start having logic in the user service, right? First it was just simple the user, right? But now it starts to become more and more complex. And we're adding data like addresses, right? Adding data like a birthday. Because some videos contain special content, so we should not sell it to everyone, right? So we need to know the creator, we need to know the users who are purchasing that they're above 18, and so on. So you can see that it's coming more and more. It's still fine, right? Yeah, we're a supportive domain. We will do it, but yeah, perhaps it's not so nice. And then everyone knows GDPR, right? So someone is coming, he's wearing a suit, looking very, very angry and telling us, yeah, people have, this is, you know, this flower? It's a forgot-me-not flower. So everyone has the right to be forgotten. And that means that there's someone who needs to be deleted. And what we have now is, okay, we are good engineers in our team. So what we are doing, we are going to other teams and asking them, hey, we need to delete this user. Do you need the data from our service, right? Because we know that things can happen when you delete some specific users and so on. And we already know from other companies this happened already, right? So, yeah. And then invoicing is coming to us and saying, hey, please do not delete right away, because you can delete it after 9 years. GDPR tells you to delete the users, but there's a law in Germany that you need to keep the invoices at least for 10 years. That means that this user has an invoice which is 1 year old. You need to delete it after 9 years. Not the invoice, but the user. And if we just delete the user and you keep the invoice, it's not so easy because we're using an overview and services will break because we need the user data are missing and so on. And how about that? That the user service will ask the invoice service, hey, does the user has some invoices? And if it has, do not delete it. But after some time, after 9 years, then ask again and delete it, right? So let's do it. It's a cron job. It's pretty easy. So we have a bi-directional already stuff. So I will show it later. So, but so periodic checks, right, and so on, invoices, and many, many more things. So this is what it looks like before. And now you can see that we have to trigger a deletion. We have to check the invoice service if we have invoices. When we delete also, we need to talk to the order domain. So you see that we have here another service, a card service. Wait a minute, there's no button. Where is my here. So you can see order service, card service. The more services are there, the more we need to know. Perhaps there's a service we don't know about who's using our data, and he's not deleting the data. Right? So we need to trigger the deletion. And it's burning already, right? But let's make it a little bit worse. So we have some services who cannot use a new version of our service. They're so important, and this video filter service, they have just 2 engineers, 2 others left because they wanted to change the company. We do not have the resources. We need to keep the service in a specific version. So what we are trying to accomplish is we have now to maintain 2 services, one user service 1.3 and one user service 1.1. I see already smiling faces here. People know what I'm talking about. They saw that already here. That's great. So it's burning already. Let's put a little bit more fire into that. And what we are doing now is that the CTO is coming to us and telling us, hey, user service is legacy. It's legacy code. We created 2 years ago, but it's legacy. We want to have a 10x user service. You know, 10x, everything's 10 times better, right? And because it's the best thing, we need to have a queue. We will work with the best solutions we have, and this is a service which is scalable, it's on lambdas and so on, right? But it still needs to sync with the old service because other services still using the old one. Yeah. And when you think about eventual consistency, you see already that things are not so nice. So you see already that sometimes things cannot find a user or cannot work because the user is not there, or they're not updated, or they're different. And just everything because of that. And now we created a spaghetti monster. Right? And it's we're just looking at one service, one entity service, the user service. Now multiply us with every service you have who's called order service, so an entity-based service. Then you have plenty of services who are just named by an entity, who are in the end not really services, it's just a storage for your data with a nice API endpoint, where you're just pulling where you're just pushing all the information you need to and getting them from. And somewhere in between there's logic, but the most logic is hidden in the calls itself. You need to know how to manipulate a specific object. You need to know how to manipulate a specific field. You cannot just say user active equal true in the specific field. Other fields needs to be perhaps changed too. You don't know what this is triggering on the other side. Right? Who likes this one? Are you still think this is a nice one? Okay, so let's go to the next step. You can still hear me? Cool. Okay, so let's try to get rid of the spaghetti monster step by step. And this is a solution, I think, which is working quite well. Check. Of course, we will use domain-driven design. So who is here who already worked with domain-driven design and event stormings, for example? Just please, hands up. Okay. So domain-driven design is not just a tool, it's a mindset. You need to not only just use the stickies, put the commands on it. It's something where you just need to know something about your domain, even as an engineer. And if you don't know some things, you should not just assume it's like that. You need to ask your domain experts. Who are the domain experts? Normally, product managers, or sometimes users, or people who really good at video creation, right? So someone who is doing that stuff, right? And so on and so on. So let's keep that in mind because this will be quite important soon. We do not have a green field currently, right? What we have is something like that. So there's rubbish on it. Someone put a street which is going to nowhere. You don't know where to start, right? What should you do first? So let's start with an event storming. And the first thing what we need to do is to visualize our pain points. So what is the things which are really hurt us? And I think it's a little bit too small. So we have here on, wait a minute. We have here on the left side, the video domain. And on the top side, we have our 10 user service, the great one, the CTO wants to have. And we model the things we have currently in our domain. We're not thinking about how it should be. It's very important because we want to visualize our pain points and having a nice new stuff. It's not showing a pain point. So what we have here are the red stickies. And in the first step, what you need to first do is don't think about if you have good events, bad events. First think about language. And here we come to the point I ask you to remember. Domain-driven design is not only about a specific tool. You need to think about the domain with the domain experts. And the first thing, what it is, you need to learn the language they are speaking. All right? So what we are doing is we are asking them, hey, we are here in the video domain. How is the user here named? It's not the user. It's a video creator. Right? So it has a name. The user has a specific name. So we put here a nice, hey, red sticky. We have a wrong language, and it's an aggregate. Right? So the language of the aggregate is wrong. And also the video domain, we should not have entities at domain names. Right? So put all the red stickies everywhere where you have a domain called by a specific entity. Right? So you can see we have here red sticky. We have over there red sticky. Nice. And also in the user service. Right? Is it a user? Okay, the video creator service is creating something, but it's an anonymous user. So put it in here. It's a specific one, right? Don't just think about the users. Think about the specific and the details of that. And then, second thing you need to watch for. So first thing, language, very important. The second thing is, where are my dependencies? So you can see here, where's my small red button? Ah, there it is. You can see we have here, when we are creating a user, we are calling the service, the 10x user service. So I can visualize this with this nice small line here, but I can tell you I did it, and then you will have thousands of lines in your legacy system because you will have plenty of dependencies, sometimes in one flow to different services. So one event is causing quite a lot of, or needs quite a lot of details, right? So I need to get the order from the order service, and I need to get the payment from the payment service, and I need to get the user from the user service. Then I can put logic on it, and in the end, I have an event in my domain, right? And these three dependencies needs to be shown. So keep just the sticky note there and put them. And remember that you try to use the names of your domains, not the new ones. So don't think about, just put 10x user service dependency and so on. And then you can also see how many dependencies you have. If you have the possibility, it's also nice to have different sticky types or different sticky, I don't know if there are enough colors to show all the dependencies of a specific service to another's, but it helps. So what you can do also is to think about two services and compare them. Right? So what we are doing here is just two services, just a small, really small step you're using here. It's just the creating of an anonymous user. Right? So these are just events. And you see we have already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red sticky notes. Okay, visualization first thing. But we need more. What we need more is we need to get rid of the specific, entity and create an own one. So in the video service, in the video domain, the video service, where's my red? Here. I have now register an anonymous video creator. And I have here an aggregate which is called anonymous video creator. And what I'm doing, I'm storing this in my own service. I'm duplicating the data, right? Now you just say, oh, duplication, we should not have it. It should be everything stored in one place. Please put this aside first. Very important. Give me a chance to explain and you will see it will be a little bit better. So what we are doing now is, so we stored the creator, and now we need to say, hey, we need this user to be authenticated in our API gateway, right? So we need to not sync the user, but we need to create we need to register the authentication of the user. So what we're doing now is we have here a dependency again to the 10x user service, but it's only the dependency about the specific fields you need for an authentication. That means, what do you need for an authentication? When you have an anonymous user, username, it's enough, right? So what we have now here is all the informations for the authentication service are just the username. So you need to change, of course, the user service to accept the username only. And you need on the other side a video creator, which has his specific fields, his configuration, all the fields you pushed first to the user service, you need to claim the data. Because the video creator is an entity which contains much more information than just the thing we used the user service in the first place to authenticate the user. And now you can understand that user service domain is not anymore the right name for it, right? It's an authentication service, perhaps, right? Or an access management service, right? But perhaps we can talk about the names later after that talk, but you know what I'm meaning in this case. So what we have now, we're doing this same with all the others for this small step. So everywhere where we see a user creation, in every service, we're trying to tell the people, you cannot create users anymore with all the data. Please move the data you have in the user service currently in your domain, store it there. And then people will say, yes, but it's the user data. It should be stored in the user service. So what to say to them? You're right? No. You need to say, hey, this is the authentication service. And for authentication, I just need a username. And that's all. And a password. But I don't want a password from you. So keep your data, because what is the user in your domain? And they will say, it's just a user. No, ask your domain experts. So when we are in the invoice, and you will ask a domain expert, he will say, it's the debtor, and we have also a creditor. You know this? Perhaps you heard it somewhere, debtor or creditor. These are two types of users. And there's two different users with different fields, different required fields also. Right? So this is something you can also identify bad entities by, hey, I have here an entity, I want you to make the fields required. But you say, I cannot make them required because another service needs to create this object without this, because they don't have the data. Right? So it's another hint for you to say, oh, the place I'm using the entity is the wrong one. And you will see that you have now here in the video domain an anonymous video creator, or a video creator, depends on the business experts. And the best part is, if you now want to change something, you want to add a configuration, you can do it by your own. The video service team can do it. If they're in a video domain that have different services, perhaps they need to find a solution to share the configurations. But I can assure you that if they have to share something, perhaps they have different users too. Perhaps they have different configuration for each service. Perhaps the filter configuration is a different one than the filter creating configuration. Different fields. I don't need to have them stored in one place. So if there's an incident or someone is calling you, hey, I need that specific configuration, it's not working, just hack the database, it's yours. You don't need to ask others, right? So let's go to the next step. We also changing the user domain service. So what we're doing here, we do not have a user anymore. It's an identity. If you're familiar with auth2, if you're familiar with authentication, they never tell you that it's a user. They're always telling it's an identity. So an authentication is to authenticate specific identity. So we are using this also. So we have here now user creating service. It's creating an identity, and then the identity is created. We still have to sync here with the old user service, right? Because we need the users. So what is the next step? So when we already removed all the dependencies of the user creation and moved the fields, moved all the data, separated them into the other services, then we can get rid of that. Right? Because no one else is using the user service anymore, the old one. We only using the 10x user service, but in this case the authentication service, to create identities. And all the other services contains their own data. Of course, it's more work for them, but in the end, it's faster to implement. You don't need to ask someone else to do for you a favor, create a field, remove something. And of course, we're changing then the name of the service here on top. It's now authentication. What was that? Of course. And now let's go to the video domain. It's not the video domain, it's a video creation domain. What does it mean for you? You need to create videos. What you need to create a video, right? You need a video creator. They creating videos. They have video filters, and so on and so on, right? It helps also to say, hey, I have here a video invoice. It contains to the video domain. And you can say, no, we are only video creation. We are only responsible for creating videos. If you want to deal with invoices, we need to find the right place for it. But what is the specific behavior behind this video invoice? This is what you next will ask. What is the process behind it? And now it's looking like that. So we have on the bottom here, the video creation. We have the video search service and so on. And you can see that we have the authentication here. And the only part where we need to authenticate is when we create a video. There's where we need to have the user. But then you will say, okay, but at some point we want to give them the possibility to purchase, right? They're happy users. They want to use not only the creation, they want to sell the videos. So we have a video trading platform over here. So you can see that it's sales, shipping, billing, warehouse. The only thing what is not so nice, it's warehouse, but if you search for DDD and e-commerce, these are the most or best explanation because warehouse has his specific behavior, right? So when you ask the domain experts about e-commerce, how to sell things, these are the domains you will find mostly, but it's just here for our presentation explanation. So what we have to do, you can see also that we create here an anonymous user. What we need to do is in the billing part, the video creator invoicing, they want to have the people as adapter. So they say, hey, now we have here an adapter, the user is changing. Now all the other domains need to know that. So video creation has an anonymous identity, created here, anonymous user. We have here a video seller and a video buyer, so two people. We have adapter and a creditor on the billing on the video creator invoicing domain. So what we can do, of course, we can just use a query to distribute the message that, hey, this user has now a different role. And all the other services who needs it connect on that. And now we have a specific thing. What happens if we are not synchronously, so asynchronously? One of the big things I saw is that if you have something where you need synchronicity, where you say, oh, I need that data and don't need them later than, because there's a specific step, it belongs to one domain. You should not split that into different points. And in this case, if you just have a user and you just say, okay, I want to build now, does it need to be that he now definitely right away can create a video and put the filters on? It's okay to say, hey, we will send you an email because we're now preparing your specific video creation platform, which is only for you. You get an email or a notification that it's now ready for you. The same for the video training platform. It can grab the information and prepare everything asynchronously. Right? The user can wait. If he was waiting for 2 seconds or for 5 minutes, normally they're okay with that. But this is the downside of that a little bit, right? You need to, because you distributed the user, none of these services knows right away that the user changed his specific role. He was an anonymous user, now it's a specific user, right? Now this is something we, of course, still need to solve, but as this is possible to use it asynchronously, it's okay. And then there's another thing when the adapter is activated. So let's say we want to, a good thing about that is, for example, the video creator invoicing domain is the one who gets specific data from the user. So they need his bank account. They won't have money from him. They have possibilities to check if the bank account is valid and you can get the purchases and so on. So this is everything where the domains experts of invoicing are sitting. You are the ones who knows best about it. You have the domain experts also. You're talking to the people from the finance team, right? And the video creator people are talking to the people from the video creation, right? These are the guys who are thinking about the fancy filters. So you understand now that the debtor we created over there has quite a lot of fields, but I don't need these fields in the video creation. So the only information I need to know is, hey, he's a debtor now. So even in the event, I don't need to push data really into that, right? I need an ID of the user or the username, and that's all. So it helps you again. So if you have events with a lot of data in it, perhaps these are not good events. Let's go and check if our anonymous user can survive our new implementation. So, but what I wanted to have, we want now to have that the anonymous users, they are not only can create videos, they can now use the filters too, right? Because we saw that people just creating videos, there are many other platforms creating videos. People are not really purchasing anymore. So what we want to do, we want them to create videos with filters. So what we can do now is, you saw what minute? I will. Yeah. So the video enhancement was the one who needed to get the event that now the user is a debtor. So to change the specific behavior of the user in the video enhancement service, right? So the video enhancement is the one with filters. And now we can just get rid of that one. We can just get rid of listen to the event because we don't need to. We know when the anonymous user is created, we can just use it. Everyone is now with a JVT token in place, possible to use the specific service. Now let's see if we can add more configuration, for example. Of course, it's pretty easy, right? If I'm in the video creation, well, wait a minute. I'm in a video creation, I have more configuration. It's my own service. I can just add it. I don't need to ask. Let's think about new fields. No problem. I can have addresses mandatory in the invoice, but I don't need them in the video creation. When there's different taxes for each user because they are from different countries, part of the invoice domain. It's part of the video. Why the heck the video creation needs to know about the tax, right? What about GDPR? Let's delete the user. So what we have here is we were moving the user, the debtor, right? So we can have an event and say, hey, this user needs to be deleted. Every service can handle the deletion how they want to. Oh, I want to keep the user for 10 years. You can implement it in your service. And you can also just delete the user because you don't need him anymore. It's on you on the service side. And what you also see here is that if you go just simple request, if we're not just changing the user, you can see that we have a nice flow from the video creation or the video enhancement to the trading, and from the trading directly to the invoice. The data are not flowing in two different ways. Before that, we had a service where we needed to talk to the invoice service to ask, hey, do you have invoices for that user? Oh, endpoint is broken. I don't know. Right? You have only one flow. So you just not service where you have flow from data in one direction. So the data flows only in one direction. Is this the silver bullet? Raise your hand if this is the silver bullet. Okay, you're right. This is not the silver bullet. Why? What about this? What about if I say that I don't need a centralized invoice. What if I can also speak to my specific domain experts and they decide, hey, we can have a specific video creation invoicing. So every time you create an enhancement, you use a filter, or I don't know, you will get to pay for that. And then we have also video tracing invoicing. Okay, the user will get 2 invoices. Perhaps it's not so nice, but if it's possible, why not? So we can see that the most important thing is talk to the people, to the experts. Know your domain, and then act like the domain is telling you to act. Don't think about the data first. It's very important to think about the processes first. Thank you for listening.